encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Sentinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o prima. Para registrarla, por favor, cuelgue ahora o espere. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, James?
Hey, Derrick, how are you doing today? Just want to let you know that we are currently live on TikTok and on YouTube. How are you doing today?
All right. I'm doing pretty good, bro. Just got back from the gym, worked a little sweat, took a shower, and now I'm just kind of kicking back, just checking in with you.
All right, man. It's been I think like a little bit over a week since the last time that we spoke, and man, your story definitely had a bunch of turns that I definitely wasn't expecting, from what you took us down through, and then also, after reading some of the, court paperwork, it definitely left a lot of questions as far as your case.
Yeah.
I know last time when we spoke, we kind of left off at you had just lost your case, and you had been sentenced to the California Department of Corrections. And I think one of the last things that I recall asking you was, what was going through your mind, when you heard the verdict.
Well, I remember when I heard the verdict. Well, here's the thing: I had told you earlier that they had deliberated for quite a while on my case. I want to say 26 days. It was the trial, and I think the deliberation was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 days or something like that. But the point of the matter is that I had been in jail for so long, right? So I was prepared for anything, but I was almost 100% certain that I was going home because they didn't prove their case. I didn't do anything. I mean, it's not like somebody got on the stand and lied and said I saw him with the gun or I saw him do it or anything like that. There was no physical evidence. Everything that they had was purely circumstantial. The fact that the gun was my father's service weapon and that I had lived in that house at one time or another. I mean, that was the closest they could get to putting it on me. So I thought for sure that the state hadn't proven their case. So I say that to say this. I was sitting in the holding cell because, every day I'd come to court every day after the trial, I'd come to court waiting to see if the jury had came back with a verdict. And every day I'm in that holding cell by myself because, they have me right next to the court. So in case the verdict comes back, I'm already dressed and I can just walk into the courtroom. So every day I'm hanging out and I never know what's going to happen, but I'm certain, 2 days go, 3 days go by, and I'm like, okay, well, my attorney's telling me things like, when they take this long, that they're completely undecided, that maybe there's some holdouts or maybe there's some people, holding out, for guilty or holding out for innocent, whatever the case is, but it's a good thing. It's, when they come back in 30 minutes or an hour, what I mean, their mind was made up well before the trial even ended. They just needed to go through the formalities. So in my case, it seemed as if there was just a really good chance that I was going to go home. And so I waited. And when I heard the verdict, I thought to myself, this can't be. I mean, I gasped. On the inside. I don't think I did it out loud, but I could have. I don't know. How often do you get sentenced to, life in prison for a crime you didn't commit? So I don't really recall exactly, what mannerisms I had at the time, but I do remember thinking to myself that this just isn't fair, and they didn't prove their case, but yet the jury of what they call my peers still found me guilty, and the first thing that came to mind was that's it, that's it. My life is over, and so. So I was, I wasn't really bitter. As I said, I've been sitting in the jail for over 2.5 years, fighting a case that had nothing to do with me. So, the bitterness had already passed. So I was going through the 5 stages, of grief, so to speak, and that was pretty much it. I had to accept the verdict, and I sat with my attorney. Obviously, we polled the jury. Well, not obviously, but we polled the jury to hear them each say it for themselves, because you want to hear each one of those jury members, if they're putting you away forever or locking you up or even just convicting you of whatever crime it may be, you want to hear each one of them say it because you never know. There could be somebody that's like, I'm just going on with what you guys are saying. I don't care anymore. But I don't think they did it and so forth. So you want to each one of them saying, well, and each one of them said guilty. And so that was that. And then, I obviously put in for an immediate appeal, and and then that was that. I mean, I don't really recall having a whole lot of more emotions other than just pure disappointment, and saddened at the fact that I knew that that I was sitting in jail for the rest of my life for a crime that my sister committed that I didn't even know that she had committed until maybe, I don't know, a year and a half after sitting in jail. So for the
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
For the 2.5 years that I sat in the county jail, in Los Angeles County Jail, fighting my case, I didn't even know she had done it until like the last year, when my attorney had gone to Las Vegas for the second time, or the first or second time, to speak with the family again, and my cousins finally came forward and told her what she had said to them, and so that was that, so yeah, so.
All right. Well, thank you for recapping on what had happened, and your thoughts at that moment when you heard the verdict, and
sure.
and you know what I know earlier before we jumped on this call, you had mentioned to me about Casey, so she's actually in the chat right now, and she wants me to let you know that she's waiting on you to do the video. And yeah, so she's looking forward to doing that video with you. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I forget.
Great.
But
tell her I said thanks. I've got her hooked up, and we will make it happen ASAP. I'd really like to get that done.
Okay, great. So okay, so you get found guilty. What at that point? How long have you been sitting in county jail? Because I know these type of trials, they don't happen within 90 days or 60 days or whatever we're entitled to.
No, they sure don't. No. Well, here's the thing about that entitled thing, bro. They give you the option when you go to when you go to your preliminary hearing. The judge will say, okay, well, I'm bounding this over for trial. Which type of trial would you like? Would you like just a judge trial, where just I will be the not necessarily that judge, but because he's bounding it over to Superior Court, where Superior Court judge will be your judge, jury, and so forth, and whatever you want to call it, and there'll be no jury, and he'll make a decision. Or would you like a speedy trial, which means I think they've got I want to say 60 to 90 days to take you to trial, or are you waiving your right to speedy trial? And most people waive their right to speedy trial, and I never really understood that, but I guess it's because of the fact that you figure when you get arrested, it's usually because the police have you, especially if it's one of those kind of cases like mine where it happened a really long time ago, and so the DA and you've watched those Law and Order shows where the DA works with the prosecutor. I mean, excuse me, let me start from there. Where the DA will work with the detectives. The prosecutor will work with the detectives to build a case, and then they arrest the guy, and so now they're ready to go. But your attorney is just getting the case. And so if your attorney's just getting the case, then they need to get up to speed. So 9 times out of 10, you don't take the speedy trial unless you're an attorney yourself, and you know the case better than anybody else is being you. Then maybe you take the speedy trial. Now, I've met a couple guys in there that have gone to speedy trial, and it's worked out for them. Because the DA, they had just arrested him for a crime that they didn't commit, or maybe they did, whatever the case is. But the point of the matter was that they were arrested, they took it to speedy trial, and they won their case because the DA didn't have time to prepare. Now, the DA will try to postpone, but like I said, they've got an X amount of time to get you into trial. And once trial starts, there's no, well, can we get a 2-week continuance? Absolutely not. No, you're coming back tomorrow. Your witnesses have X amount of days to get there. If they don't show, then that's your bad. And so they won their cases. I had a guy in my cell who took his thing to speedy trial, and he took the stand. He was like, I was absolutely innocent. I'm taking the stand. I know this case better than anything. I'm not worried about it. He took speedy trial. He took the stand. He got released. So I was thinking, well, by the time this had happened, I had already waived my right to a speedy trial. I was probably a year and a half already sitting in the county jail at this point, because as I was saying earlier, I'd spent 2.5 years in the county jail before I went to trial, and the trial, like I said, was over, and it was over in 26 days. So somewhere after the 2.5 years, I did another 30 days waiting for the trial to begin and end, and then within 2 weeks, I was 2 weeks after being found guilty, I was in the California Department of Corrections. So yeah, so that's how that works along as far as the speedy trial thing, because I don't want people to think that that it's just that simple. It really isn't. Even if you have a really good attorney, like I said, a paid attorney, they're going to want to get up to speed. They're going to want to know what the DA has, why the DA is even pursuing you. I mean, unless the obvious is, and the obvious, they can, you do a burglary or whatever, and they catch you in a house. Okay, well, clearly, the DA is ready to go. They got the evidence that they need. But I'm talking about in cases where they've got to investigate, and then you've got detectives and so forth, and people doing this and interviewing these people and that people and trying to see what kind of evidence they can gather. Because once again, I said before that when you get arrested, they tell you from the get-go you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Well, we had talked about something earlier in a previous podcast about how I was hanging out with these guys, these gang members. Well, I don't know if you want to call them gang members. They were gang members from California who had moved to Las Vegas to sell crack cocaine, and they called themselves Hard Time Hustlers. Now, I don't know for sure if there's a Hard Time Hustlers gang in Los Angeles. There probably is. I don't see why they'd start a whole new clique or gang, or they probably just started a new clique. Anyway, I met them, a couple of them, as I was getting released from doing some traffic ticket time. I told the judge I had more time than money, and he was like, okay, good, then you can go do 30 days or 2 weeks or whatever it was. And as I was getting released, they were getting released for whatever they were in there for. I never asked. And so I ended up hanging out with them for a whole summer. I didn't have any school that summer. I was hanging out with them for a whole summer selling crack. So they didn't know anything about that, because, like I said, the case that had happened, when they interviewed me about this case, it was 12 years after the fact. So they didn't know anything about what I was doing at the time, because the original detectives that spoke to me didn't ask me anything. Like I said, I think I talked to them for a few minutes in Las Vegas, or maybe even over the phone. I'm not for sure, but I did believe I spoke to the original detectives. They realized it wasn't me and went on about their business. I heard they started looking at the father, and so forth. And, obviously they didn't have the evidence. They didn't have the gun. That had they had known that the gun in my mother's house was the murder weapon, they absolutely would have went after my mom or my sister, because, well, shit, they were the only ones that lived there. You know what I mean? But they didn't know that at the time. They didn't know that until 12 years later, because they were too silly to bother to ask. I mean, well, gosh dang it, if we're looking at people in the neighborhood that are convicted of crimes as a juvenile, and one of them's dad was a sheriff, and he has guns, why wouldn't we want to see those guns? But these original detectives, I guess that never crossed their mind, because if they had done that, we wouldn't be talking right now. It'd be maybe my sister on the phone with you. I don't know, pleading her case. But the point of the matter is that I lost my train of thought. But still, they what was I saying, James? Do you remember?
So you were speaking about the Hard Times Hustlers, about the Chris.
Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, bro. Because I get to rambling and I totally forget. Okay, so they used that against me, and once again, I told them that information when these new detectives came to visit me 12 years after the crime. I believe I was at church one day, and they showed up at Victory Outreach, the church that I was attending, and they came over and they talked to me, and I told them the truth. I thought they did not read me my Miranda rights, because they weren't there to arrest me. They were there just to question me about what I knew about it. And I told them, well, hey, I'll be honest with you guys. When that crime occurred, I had just got released from the county jail in in Las Vegas, for some traffic tickets. I met these guys from this place called Hard Time Hustlers. I told them the whole spiel. So they absolutely used that against me when I got to trial. And I thought to myself, well, shit. I was trying to clear my name, but once again, they tell you that in Miranda rights. Anything you say can, and it will absolutely be used against you.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
So if they're looking at you, then they want you. So don't say nothing. I don't give a shit how innocent you are. Don't give them anything extra to pile on you to try to lock your little butt up. But anyway, so that was that. So
Derek.
So that was what I wanted to say about. Yeah.
So before I forget, so we just got the 60-second announcement in Espanol. We have about another 20 seconds before the call gets cut off.
All right. Okay. Well then, I mean, you can we can go to the next call, or if you have another question you want to ask me before we do that. But I think it's probably going to hang up by the time I finish talking.
Just call back and then.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Call back and then we'll All right, so for those, my apologies on TikTok. I didn't realize that the audio wasn't going through. Thank you, Felons for Christ Ministries, for letting me know, give me the heads up that the audio wasn't working. So this would be, we got Derrick Snowden on today. This would be the fourth or fifth time that we bring him on. If you're interested in listening to his backstory, if you go onto the YouTube channel, go on their playlist, look up Derrick Snowden, and you could catch his previous episodes. And let me see right here, KC underscores been writing a lot of information over here, so I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. If you have some time, and if you could send me a link to that family that you're speaking about in the chat, I would highly appreciate it. And then let me see, Vanessa writes, can he give counseling information on court or advice? I can't get a lawyer. No lawyer will touch my case. Any advice? Let me see here. Okay. Let me turn this.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Derrick Snowden.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
I'll double check with him. Hey, Derrick, I got a question for you from TikTok and from YouTube. They want to know: Are you legal beagle? Do you know anything about filing like appeals or filing any motions on your behalf?
Absolutely not. No, not even a little bit.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate, because I've had so much time to sit in the law office and try to figure out ways to take to get my case overturned. But I don't know if we mentioned this before, but I had my original appellate attorney, not the one that the state provided for me, but the one that I hired. She came and visited me. This was a long time ago, and she said, Derrick, there's really absolutely nothing that I can do for you. I'm gonna, your family, they paid me, so I'm gonna run it all the way to the California Supreme Court if I can. But Derrick, you're in here because of your sister, and until there's new evidence to show up, there is no appeal. So when she told me that, not that was the defining factor in me not getting in the law library to try to figure it out, but that plus the fact that the kind of sentence that I have, just until recently, was indeterminate. What I have is death by incarceration. That's what life without the possibility of parole is. Now, just recently, guys, on the last I think 10 years, Gavin Newsom, or maybe even the governor before him, overturned that, and now it's California Department of Rehabilitation, or California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, which means that if you're rehabilitated, they'll let you go. And so before, guys, for my first 15 years, or I don't know, maybe 10 first years or whatever, I never went to board. There was no, and board is what you do when you go to, when they think you're ready to go home, they're like, you go before the board. The board will look at how you've been behaving, what you've accomplished since you've been in there, and then they'll either grant you parole or they'll deny you for a few years. Well, that was never a luxury I was ever afforded until just recently. So now I get to go to board every 12 years. Now, I haven't gone yet. They just started that, and they didn't do it retroactively, so I didn't get to go the minute that they started it, because I believe I had 12 in by the time they started that thing. But I think I go in like another 5 or 4, guys, So, and I want to be ready. Now, 9 times out of 10, guys, they're going to shoot me down. They're going to tell me, but then this is just me being pessimistic. We really don't know that. So, but I would think that, by case, because listen, I don't have any violence on my record, guys, from any time, from when I was a kid to any time at all. So, and the case happened 12 years ago, and then if I was such a convict or such a criminal, how come for the last 12 years I hadn't been going crazy killing other people or whatever the case is? You guys, you get what I'm saying? If the case happened in '92 and I didn't get arrested for the crime until 2000, let's just say 2004. It was December the 10th, 2003. They arrested me. So we'll just say the beginning of 2004. They arrested me for a crime I didn't commit back in '92. You know what I mean? So I don't have a history of violence, is what I'm basically saying.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the board will take that into consideration. And then
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I was just talking to my counselor the other day, and I asked her, when do I go to board? And she said, well, I don't see anything on the upcoming schedule here. So, and I'm sure she was just looking a year ahead. So I know obviously go for the next year, but we don't know when I'll go. I'd have to write records and ask them, when is my first board date? And parole board date, and they'll let me know exactly when it is. But I'm already preparing. Like I said, guys, I don't know anything about the law, like I was asked, but I am getting extra college stuff to do. I'm getting all that done. And thanks, bro. Just got some mail, guys. Let me set that down. The cops were calling me. I had to pick up some mail.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so that answers that question. The next one, unless you have more to it.
So, you know what? There's two questions, and I just wrote them down on my phone because if not, I'll forget about them.
Sure.
You start talking and bam, it'll be out of my mind faster than fast.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you.
Go for it.
So yesterday, when I was talking to Jesse and David, we had an ICEMAN in the chat, and he had asked me what my honest opinion was on whether you were guilty or not, and my response to that was I don't know. I mean, based on what I read on the court paperwork, I just can't tell you because there's no direct physical evidence saying that you are guilty. Based on what they found, like you mentioned earlier on, the GUN, they didn't get it until 12 years later after the cop retired and somebody else took over the cold case, and then finally they thought about retrieving the GUN, and then they did the ballistics and whatnot. So, but you're not the only one that had access to the weapon, and I know you previously stated that you weren't even living in the state of California at the time that the crime was committed. And then I had brought up about the uniform, a young lady walking in that area with a cop style type of uniform in that area, and normally somebody that would be walking in that area wouldn't be from the outside, because you would have to be from the neighborhood to actually know that walk path was there. Not just like some random person's gonna be in that area. So there was a lot of things, and then like your cousins, telling the officers or in court that your sister made a statement saying that I don't remember exactly, but that she had done something, and then also that she couldn't be tried, because she was under the age of 14 at that time, and they wouldn't try anybody under that age as an adult. And then they had already, they were pretty much out of time as far as being able to, prosecute her if they did think that she was, she did participate in that or not. Anyhow,
right.
So another thing we were talking about the board of parole. And somebody had asked, what if you're innocent and you go to the board of parole? Do you admit to committing a crime that you didn't, or do you deny it? So in your case, you just mentioned that you're going to be going to the parole board in 5 years. So what are you going to do in that case? I mean, obviously, I would want to, if I was in your shoes, I want to come home. So what's your thought on that? Or how do you plan to handle that whole situation?
And that has been another conundrum that has been going through my mind as well. And I've talked to a few people about it. I don't really know how to pursue that, because, you want to come home, right? But then here's the thing. Anybody could just go ahead and say, oh, yeah, well, they did it, and then let's move on. But that's not how they're going to do it. They're going to say, well, now I want you to talk about it, and I want you to describe it. And then now I got to make up stuff. So now not only do I have to lie about the crime, about doing it, I got to lie about what happened or how it happened, and I got to make stuff up. And if the board looks at if they have something that I don't know, and they're going to be, well, that's not how it happened or whatever, then I'm stuck. So but unfortunately, and I still don't know if this is going to work for me, but fortunately, the Board of Parols does not force you to admit to the crime anymore. Before, if you couldn't admit it, then you're not ready to go home. Now they don't do that anymore. Now, if you took your court to trial, if you took your case to trial, guys, and were found guilty because you said you were innocent, but the court found you guilty, they won't make you confess to a crime you didn't do. Now it's just about what have you done in here, even though you won't admit to something that you didn't do. How have you changed your life so that you wouldn't be caught up in another situation? So I don't think I'm going to have to lie to the Board of Prison and Parole. I don't think I'm going to have to. If they ask me, I'm going to tell them that I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to be like, look, guys, I didn't do it, and I took it to trial because I didn't do it. Now I lost that trial, and so I'm here. But just because I lost that trial, that doesn't change the fact that I didn't do it. So we're going to have to move on from there, and we'll see what happens, guys. I don't know. I haven't met anybody that's gone to board and has faced this issue yet. Where they didn't do it and they went in there and they took it to trial. They didn't do it and they went in there to board and told them, well, I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do. So I don't know, but
esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Hopefully between now and then I will know. So we'll see, guys.
All right. So, you know what? Another thing that I did say on yesterday's podcast when I was asked that question, whether I thought you did it or not, is that I'll probably be like the worst person to be on a jury because I don't know, like all that deciding whether somebody's guilty or innocent. I don't know. I'm just not cut out for that because there's cases.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. I thought to myself, look, I remember having jury duty in Vegas one time. And I'm sitting there reading a snowboard magazine, hoping that they never called me, and they didn't. So I got lucky, guys. I sat for a week and never got called to jury, and I was like, hallelujah, because I surely didn't want to do it. But what I was thinking the entire time was, look, I don't know if they'll even pick me because I don't know if I knew these things then, but I know them now. That they ask if you've ever been convicted of a crime, whether it be felony or misdemeanor, whatever the case may be, and those are the kind of people that they dismiss from the jury because they think that you're biased right off the top because you've already got a chip on your shoulder. You've been convicted of something, whether you did or didn't do it, but you've already got an adverse opinion of the court system. So they don't pick us anyway. I don't know if I knew that then because I've got juvenile stuff that that I would have had to say, oh yeah, I've got juvenile stuff that I went to jail for, and I probably would have never got picked. But the point of the matter is I don't think I'm cut out for it either. I just, it's just really hard, bro. I don't want to say I don't fault the jury for coming up with the verdict that they came up with because look at just as much as I say that the jury, that the prosecution didn't prove their case. Well, I don't think that I proved my case beyond a shadow of a doubt either. You know what I mean? Like I told people once before, it's all about accountability, guys. You have to be able to prove where you were if someone says you were somewhere else. And had I have been in school, I'd have a professor or even people in my class to be like, yeah, I was sitting next to me that day when the crime occurred. Or if I had been at work, 9 times out of 10, if you're in Las Vegas, and you're in college, you're working in a casino, doing whatever, or that was back then, because that's where all the jobs were. I mean, that's what Vegas is. It's a casino town. So if I had been working, I could have been at work that day. I would have been like, well, look, I've got him clocked in here at 8 this morning, and he didn't clock out till 2. And if you need us to go back 12 years and try to find the camera footage of that, or what have you, or you know what I mean? I don't know if they would have had it, but the point is, that's basically what I'm saying. So I don't know how I would have been on the jury either. I don't know either. You know what I mean? But I know that because I'm innocent, I would have hoped that that there were other jury members that thought so too, and they must have, guys, because you don't deliberate for 6 days if everybody's guilty. You did come on right back. I mean, it doesn't take 6 days to go over the evidence. They were people that were on the fence, and But here I sit anyway. So
you know what? So in your case, there wasn't a smoking GUN, if you will.
oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. And the only smoking GUN that there was the fact that the actual GUN was in my family's home.
Yeah.
So you know, you can't imagine someone breaking in, taking it, using it, and then breaking back in to put it away. That obviously didn't happen. So it had to have been my mother, who had a clear alibi because she was at work with hundreds of people that saw her at work that day, because she's in charge of an entire section of her business of where she worked at. So her alibi is rock solid. Or the girl who says, I went to school that day, but we can't prove that because those records mysteriously burned up in a warehouse fire between now and the 12 years that it took for them to check. So, you know what I mean? And then you got me, the kid that didn't even live there, didn't even live in the state at the time. And everybody's not disputing that. They're not saying I didn't live at the state at the time. They're saying that I drove down here or came down with someone, did the crime, and then drove back. I'm like, this is insane. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, next question.
Okay, so I actually got a question from the audience right here. We got a question from JCool2289, and he's asking,
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
has he received any 115 violations?
Absolutely, but not for years, guys. Not for a long time. You don't know how. I was going to say you know how the prison system works. You obviously don't. You guys haven't been here. I've been in jail too long. I've been talking to people who've been in and out of prison, so I'm used to talking to somebody that knows actually what I'm talking about. But no, yes, I have had some 115 violations, but riots, and we all got one. Everybody that was involved in it. So yeah, but have I had any 115 violations? Any serious 115s for like stabbings and stuff like that? No, I haven't. But yeah, the answer to that question, yes, I have had 115 violations.
Derrick, just want to give you the heads up. The call's about to cut off in about 10 seconds or so. So if you want to go ahead and give us a call back, and we'll go ahead and continue.
I will do just that.
All right, perfect.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Bye.
So I want to go ahead and give a shout out to ICEMAN, tapping in from the gym over here on the YouTube side, and then also a big shout out to Casey_ for dropping those 3 smackaroonies this way. Highly appreciate it, and welcome. I'm a corner, no Nintendo, and welcome to J Cool 2289. Appreciate the question. Anyhow, over here on the TikTok side, I want to go ahead and shout out Robert. Really appreciate the like. And then who else do we got over here? Let me see. Drilla, Sanchez 818. That's right. The Hush Money. Can't forget about the Hush Money. And I think, you know what? When I hit county, I want to say I was in the 4,500. 4,500? Is there a 4,500 floor? I think that's where it might have been.
This call is now being recorded.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Derrick Snowden.
Derrick Snowden.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, James?
All right. So the last question that I asked you was, have you ever received any 115 violations? And also, if you wouldn't mind explaining what a 115 is for somebody that's never been in prison or the jail system, or
Sure.
is familiar with the rules violations while incarcerated.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, guys, when you come to jail, you're already incarcerated, but you can still get in trouble while you're in jail. In other words, you guys have heard of isolation and putting someone in solitary confinement and things like that. Well, that's the extreme version of disciplinary actions when you do something wrong in prison, is the solitary confinement. And the other form of disciplinary action is what they call a 115. Now, why they name it that, it's probably just some kind of code that they use, but it's called a 115. And what a 115, it's basically a write-up. It's like, okay, well, look, if you get too many of these, and you'll get put on on a restricted program where like you won't be able to go outside for X amount of days, or you won't be able to use the phone for X amount of days, or we get to go to a commissary, which is like canteen. It's basically the store. If you have money, you can go spend it there, and you won't be allowed to do that for X amount of days if you get so many 115s. And so you can get 115s for. You'll get a 115 for fighting. You'll get a 115 for if you're involved in a riot. You can get a 115 for disrespecting staff. If you get an officer that's feeling disrespected and you whatever, and you threaten him, or you make him feel threatened, then he'll write it up the way in a 10 word against yours. Now I'll tell you something, guys. They just recently installed video cameras all throughout the prisons. I've got 4 or 5 of them in my day room.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Which is the cell area, which is the building area that's right outside of our cells. Like if I was to look outside of my window, I could see tables and a TV, and I could see the building officers, walking to and fro, you're checking cells or what have you, passing up a mail, like just happened a few minutes ago. And there's cameras in there, and then there's cameras all over the yard. Now, all of the other prisons, I don't want to say all of them yet because I don't know that. I'm only in this one. But they said that most of the other prisons, the officers have body cameras. Well, these officers here, they don't have body cameras. They're not there, whether they're refusing to wear them, whether they haven't been forced to put them on yet, whether they're getting them sized, or whatever the case may be. But all these guys are coming from other prisons because, we go from prison to prison when you get transferred, for various different reasons, disciplinary reasons, or for programming reasons. This is a class or a program at this particular prison that the board wants you to take, and it's not at another one, so you're coming to this one for that program. And these officers, these guys are saying that everywhere else that they're coming, all these guys have body cameras, and they're so much more respectful. Things are so much more easily discerned about when they say something, whether it's true or not, because the body camera footage can be ordered, and it will show the clear evidence of whether what they're saying is true or what you're saying is true. But these officers in my prison, they're like, we're not wearing that, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, but so that's what's going on here. But that's what 115s are, guys. 115s are just disciplinary write-ups, and you can only get so many of them before, like I said, then they start to take the program from you. And I think even with 115, once you hear the 115, depending on whether it's serious or not serious, like let me give you, for instance, you can get a 115 for a fight, and what you'll get is a loss of program, what they call LOP, which is loss of program, and they'll take 3 or 4 different things from you. They'll take your phone privileges for 90 days. They'll take your canteen for 60 days. They'll take your packages because we're allowed, a quarterly package, which is just it's going to Costco. And you can order a bunch of stuff, but it's not Costco. They're prison companies, but they supply us with we have our catalogs, and we can go through and be like every 4 months you're allowed to order one of those packages from them. Once again, you need money for this. None of this stuff is free, but you guys obviously figured that part out. But yeah, if you have money, you can order a package every 4 months, and so they'll take the packages or every 3 months because you get 4 years. So every 3 months, so they can take your packages, your phone, your yard, your day room. They can't take your food, obviously, and they can't take your showers and stuff. But you get what I'm saying, guys. If you're not happy with the way the program's running, and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or things that they deem that you shouldn't be doing, they will write you up, and they will restrict it and make it even tougher for you. You got guys that are refusing transfer. I don't know if you guys know anything about prison and the fact that there are different levels. You guys have. You don't know, but I'm telling you, they have level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1. Now, level 1 is, these guys that come in here for 6 or 7 months or a year, and they're going to camp, and they're the guys that fight the fires that you see like their shows, Fire Country and stuff like that. Those are the guys that are fighting fires. They're in camp. They can run off because they only got a little bit of time anyway, and then when they catch you, you end up going somewhere besides camp, where there's prison, where it's bars and stuff. And then you got the level 2, which is it's I don't want to say a moniker more of respect that the officers give to you there, but they treat you differently because you're not a violent offender, or you have worked your way down from being a violent offender to a person that that we realize that we don't have to watch you 24/7. You know what I mean? You're going to be where you're supposed to be, and we believe that. And if you blow it there, then you go up to the level 3, and then level 3 is where the people are. They're like the average guys. They're like the guys that may have a lot of time. They may not have a lot of time. They've gotten some 115s, but they've stayed relatively right up free, and so they're here at this level 3 program, waiting to go to those lower levels. And then you've got the level 4s, and that's the people that are still, they're gang banging hardcore, doing whatever they feel like they want to do, because they're like, I'm never getting out anyway. I'm gonna live. This is my life now. This is my world, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna live it the way I want it. And they're constantly being written up, or they have so many points, because it's a point system that gets you dropped down from levels. And I think level 4 is 52 and up, or 42 and up, or something like that. And then each one of those levels is lower. The lower you get your points, the lower level you get to go. And right now I'm at like 20 something points. I'm level 2. But I'm on a level 3 yard because they haven't transferred me yet. I'm up for transfer now. So, I haven't gotten any write-ups in a while. So I'm level 2. I'm going to level 2 if they transfer me anytime soon, or when I do get transferred, I'll be headed to a level 2. But yeah, so
okay,
that's what a 115 is.
Well, thank you for giving us like a visual through your through your speech on what what all these things mean. So J Cool 2289 also wrote, I'm a formal CO from Salinas Valley, and RJD is why I asked the question. Board will look at violations when he goes to board. Great interview.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. Yeah, I knew that they would. Now they're you got these guys that run this yard, and they're saying things like, look, at board's not looking at your 115s unless they're serious 115s, but that may be for these guys that already have dates. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to get one, so I don't need any 115s. I don't need any. When I go to board, I want to have 4 or 5 different degrees. And whether they're associate's degrees, or I've gotten into the bachelor programs that are at sporadic facilities, like RJD, I believe, has a bachelor program. This one has a bachelor program where I'm at in Centinela, and that's the only 2 that I know of. All the other ones, all you can get, there's as many associate's degrees as you want, and it's cool because with an associate's degree, all you do is you take the 5 baseline courses, and then you just add 2 or 3 or 4 more courses, and now you've got another degree in something else. You know what I mean? So you can get like 12 AAs in a matter of 5 years, and you know what I'm saying? But to transfer onto a bachelor's program, that's what I'm trying to do, to transfer to one of these bachelor's programs and get another bachelor's and go from there.
All right, thank you. You know what? So the second question I wanted to ask you was, so I know I don't know if it was like in our first interview or second interview, or maybe off of the phone. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think it was off of the phone before we started the interviews. You had mentioned that 48 hours had reached out to you. I think
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
I think that was the name of the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Dateline NBC type of show, and they reached out to you to interview you. Can you share a little bit of what happened when they reached out to you, how they went about reaching out to you, and what happened after that?
Okay, well let me start from the beginning. Okay, I had already been convicted. They had ample time to reach out to me in the 2.5 years I sat in the county jail, but they didn't want that. They didn't want the story then. I guess they wanted it to play out before they actually did the interview, and that's probably how the show works. I don't watch those shows. I'm really not interested in hearing about a guy that's in jail I'm already here. So, those shows really don't intrigue me. But the point of the matter is they reached out to me once I got convicted. I believe I got the letter from 48 Hours, and because prison is structured, guys, I want you to remember, if you get the kind of time that I have, life without the possibility of parole, which means this is where you're going to die, then this is your new world. And if you're running with the crew, because that's what people do. They run with they're either their race or the people that they frequent with on the streets. You may have black guys from a Mexican gang, and so now they're running with the Mexicans, or you may have Mexicans from a black gang on the streets, and they may still be running with the Mexican in prison, and they've disavowed their black gang because whatever the case may be. But the point of the matter is that you aren't allowed to talk to those shows. You're not allowed to. You talk to those shows. It's like telling, and the next thing you know, you're no longer functioning with them, and they're trying to stab you up because they're like, it's one of the reasons that you're not allowed to take a stand either. And I didn't know that when I was in the jail, when I was in the county jail. Fortunately, I didn't take the stand, because if you take the stand, it doesn't matter what you say. You're not allowed to take the stand. It's like you're telling. I don't understand that word, but that's just, it's sad, guys, because here in California, the prisons are literally run by the gangs. I mean, you go anywhere else in any other state, and there is no such thing as a protective custody. You put the rapists with the killers, and the child molesters with the burglars, and whatever else. This place.
So we're on TikTok. You remember I had mentioned to you that like certain words.
Yeah. Okay, you can. Yeah, you can. Okay, well, basically, guys, let me try to clear it. Okay, so basically, what I'm saying here in California, guys, they separate them, and we can appreciate that. They put the ones that you wouldn't want to be in a jail cell with, where you come in the cell and be like, "What are you in here for?" And he said something crazy, and you're like, "Are you serious?" They separate those guys, and those guys can do whatever they want. You know what I mean? But the other guys, the other guys, the structured guys, the mainline guys, that's where you're not allowed to take the stand, and you can't take the stand in your trial. You can't talk to the media. You know what I mean? All kinds of weird rules. Because they run the jails. I mean, these officers have the keys, but these things are run by the prison gangs. And so, unless you cross over and leave the prison that area and go over to the other side, which is they call protective custody or S&Y, you're not doing your time. You're doing somebody else's time along with your time, and it pays. And like I said, it comes with benefits. You got a whole crew of people that if you get in trouble, they're coming to your aid no matter what. And it also comes with the fact that you'll never have to worry about the dude in your cell being some weirdo. You know what I mean? Because those weirdos aren't on that yard. So but those are about the only benefits that it comes with that I see. So and those guys are I hear some of them are going home, but very few. The board is looking at those guys as like, look, if you are still in the mix, you know what I mean? You may not have had any write-ups, but you're still running with the homies. And if the homies tell you you're going to do this, that, or the other, you got to do it. Are you going to do it? And they're going to tell you. I'm sure they're probably going to tell the board, oh, absolutely not, I'm not going to do it. But you know that's a lie, because they can't be over there if they're not going to do it. You know what I mean? The homies say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Or they're going to do it to you. And so, which one is it? Is it you? Is it him or you? Which, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's what's going on. But,
so
that's that.
I want to double back on something that you said that kind of stuck out to me. So you mentioned that if you decide to fight your case, you're not allowed to testify on your own behalf.
No.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
So we just got hit with the 60-second notification. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, no, I would say you had the 60-second notification, and you were asking. Yes, you were not allowed to take the stand. I don't care what, for whatever reasons, because I don't know. Now, see, we have access to our transcripts now. Anybody can look up your name on these little tablets we have. We're all in the law library, and you can know what every one of these people are in here for. All you need is their name, their full name, and that's it. So-and-so versus California. It'll pop up, and you'll know exactly what they're in here for. But like you said, it's going to hang up here in a second. So I will call right back if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, perfect. That'll definitely work.
Then I'll do that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, so if you're new here, we're what I do here is pretty much I interview people that are currently incarcerated for various reasons. Most of the people that have come on are have been convicted for 187. I think most people in the United States knows what that means, just because in California it's been something popular that I can remember back since the 90s, 187. So I don't want to say it because then I'll start getting warnings on TikTok. And if you don't know what 187 means, just Google PC 187.
Esta es Global Telling. Usted
This call
tiene
is
una
now being
llamada
recorded.
prepagada de
Derrick Snowden.
un individuo encarcelado en
So,
de la prisión
all that
estatal
stuff
de
behind you,
Centinela,
do you get
Centinela,
it sent to you?
California. Esta
Some of
llamada
that
y
stuff is
su
mine.
número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o
What's up,
oprima ahora
Sanho?
el 5.
408.
Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello, Derrick.
Yeah.
So right now, before we get back to that question, or that comment that I made, I actually wanna read. I wanna answer a question right here, two questions right here in the chat.
Okay.
I was asked, have I ever been to prison? And my response to that was no, I have never been to prison. And then the next question was, because I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, but I have like jail and prison stuff, like jackets, outfits. I got some prison phones up here on the wall. I got a blue one and a silver one, and they're asking me all the stuff behind you. Did you get to get it sent to you? So some of the stuff that's here, like, so if you look right behind me, I have LA jail county suit. The tops and the bottoms, and they have some great pants. So those I actually got when I was in county back like in 2000 and I think 2001. I brought those home with me. I didn't want to leave them.
You snuck some blues out?
I snuck them out.
Snuck some blues out?
Yep.
Yeah, I did that. I did that too when I was like 19. I was like 21 or something like that. I think I went in there for some traffic tickets when I was a kid. I didn't want to tell my parents.
Yeah.
And I think the judge gave me like almost 10 days. I think I did 3 days, and I snuck the blue top out with me. I used to wear it all the time. People were like, "Where'd you get that from?" I go, "It's mine." Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you know what? So the reason I took mine was because it was brand new. It had never been worn before. So I was like, because
okay.
normally when you would get blues, they would be all dingy, all nasty looking, all faded.
Yeah.
And these, when I got them, I was like, oh man, I can't leave these behind. I gotta take them with me. And I remember like the release date came around, everybody was like, hey, let me get your blues, because those blues I got them in Supermax, and I went down to Old County because that's where you get released from. And everybody was like, hey, let me get those blues. They're brand new. I'm like, nah, hell no, I'm taking them with me. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm taking them with me. Can't leave these behind over here.
You got lucky, bro. I would have taken my bottoms too, bro, but I got arrested on the beach. Me and my friends, we were drinking at the cliffs at Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
And the beach patrol cops or whatever rolled up on the sand, and they checked everybody's ID, and they ran all of our IDs, and me and I think one of my other friends had warrants for traffic. And so we went to Huntington Beach jail, and then anyway, I got arrested in board shorts, flip flops, and a cutoff. You know what I mean? So I didn't really have anywhere to stuff all that. So I just rolled the shirt up, and stuffed it down my shorts, and that's how I got my shirt out. But yeah, I wanted my blues bottoms too. I wanted the whole get up, bro.
You know what? Now that I think about it, so my blues, the way I was able to take them out, the pants, I rolled them up. I rolled them up all the way to my knees, because sometimes right before you would get released, the cops would tell you, lift up your legs of your pants. So I already knew that already. So I just rolled them up. Yeah, I rolled them up like above my knee, and then when they did ask us, you could see my socks, like my regular socks, and then my shirt. I think I just hung it in the middle. In between my pants, and luckily it didn't go wrong, because if not, then it would have been a different story.
Yeah, they would have taken from me. I don't know what would have happened. I didn't even think about it. I mean, I think I remember somebody saying, "You don't get caught with that." And I was like, "I'm not get caught with that." But I'm young and dumb. I'm surfing. I'm not worried about these cops. I didn't do nothing wrong. I got some traffic tickets. I just served the time for them. I get 3 days out of 5. I mean, come on, bro. I'm back in my flip-flops, back in my board shorts. My buddies are picking me up. They'll be here in 20 minutes or less, depending on traffic. And I got these guys I'm getting out with. They're like, "Give us a ride." I'm like, "Are you serious, bro? Come on, bro. We're going right back to the beach, dude. You want to go to the beach?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Well, then I can't give you a ride, dude."
Yeah. Hey, so to get back to the you can't testify on your behalf. So somebody might be listening to it, and they might not be from California. They'll be like, "Hell no! Like I'm gonna testify on my behalf." Yeah, you're not gonna do it in California unless you're willing to accept the consequences.
Right, and the consequences are, like I said, the consequences are just you going into protective custody. And protective custody means that you'll be separated from what they consider the main line, which would be like the gangs and so forth and so on. You would go over and cross over and be in a place where the violators that I mentioned earlier, the guys with the RAPE stuff, and the people that messing with people underage. I think you guys can.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
You can understand the kind of people that would need to be protected. Would need to be protected from the other convicts. You can pretty much fathom what I'm talking about, and that's the consequence. And like I said, and the only consequence of that is the fact that you're coming over here with them. You could get one of them in your cell, and not only that, you're on your own. And that's what it's like in every other state. You go to prison, you're on your own. You're doing your own time. I was talking to a kid not too long ago who said he was in jail in Tennessee. He was like, if you told the guys in Tennessee the way the prison was over here, they would laugh at you. They'd be like, look, you're telling me that you're running with a gang, and when they tell you to jump, you got to jump? Man, are you crazy, man? I'm doing my own time. And well, hey, it used to be like that in California. I heard that people did used to do their own time. But because the gangs are so prevalent here, they go to jail, and the next thing you know, you're in a pod with 20 people from your gang, and who do you think's running that pod? Those 20 people. So the other people were like, well, this isn't going to work. Well, why not from your audio? Okay, well, we're still Mexicans. We're still homies. Well, then we better come together. And so that's exactly what started to happen. The Mexicans started to come together, and the homies were like, it doesn't matter what audio you're from. You're now here with us. We're all on the same squad because these blacks are tripping or these whites are tripping or whatever the case is. And so that's that. And those are the kinds of things you don't have to worry about on a protective custody yard. It's every man for himself. And if you're not some, if you're not some dirtbag, then you don't have too much to worry about. These people over here that are on PC yards, they're trying to go home. You know what I mean? They're a lot of them. You got some serious homies over here who have just dropped out, and they're like, look, man, I'm done, man. I put in my 20. I've been fighting these wars for these people, and they're not doing nothing for me. I want to go home, man. And now that California Department of Corrections is now California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, everybody except for the people that are condemned, the people with death on death row, everybody but them has an opportunity to go home. That doesn't mean they all will, because I can promise you there are some people in here that they have life without the possibility of parole, and I can almost guarantee you it doesn't matter how many times they go up before the parole board. The parole board is never going to find them suitable because their crime is just too heinous. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there are others who in here who have possibly life without the possibility of parole, who were convicted of just regular crimes. I don't want to call them regular because we don't want to think lightly of anyone losing their lives. But you get a guy 2 yards down from me, hypothetically speaking, who committed 4 or 5 different murders and he's in jail in jail, and he's got 40 years to life. So in 40 years he's eligible for parole. Well, they're changing those laws, so now he'll be eligible for parole earlier than that, and he can go home. And so I'm now afforded the same opportunity as him because, I'm in here for what they consider a double homicide, and I had nothing to do with it, but that's not the point because it doesn't matter anymore. I've already been convicted. And they were saying, well, you're never going to get to go home. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between that guy and my guy? And they're saying that my case was because they believe that I came back 12 years after how many years? I don't know. However, not 12 years. That was how long it took for them to bring the case back around this cold case unit and to arrest him for a crime that had not happened 12 years earlier. But what I'm trying to say is that they're saying that the reason why I did this is because one of the victims testified against me as a juvenile and sent me to California Youth Authority. And so when I got out of the Youth Authority, I waited, 5 years, like more or something, and however long it was later, and then committed these. Look, I got out of the Youth Authority at like 17 or something like that. And these people, they didn't lose their lives until I was 20. I was like 23, going on 24. So you're telling me that 5, 6, 7 years I waited, and then one day just decided this is it? I mean, come on, bro. I mean, I know revenge is best served cold, but I didn't have any revenge towards them, and this is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, come on. What really disgusts me, guys, is the fact that I lived, when I got home from the Youth Authority, I moved back in with my parents. I was still a kid. I moved back in with my parents. I lived directly across the street from them for another 2 or 3 years before I went away to school, to live in Las Vegas. So, and I'm thinking, you saw me skateboarding and this and that and what have you, driving off with my friends and this and that, and never, if not once, did anybody? I feel I got threatened by him, and then they get these. I get these neighbors who said that their mom said one day when I had living in Las Vegas, had drove from Las Vegas to California to visit my mom. I think I was going to a concert or something. I don't know. I want to say like Ozfest or something like that. I had drove down for that week, and I spent the week with my mom. And apparently, she saw me getting out of the car in the driveway at my parents' house, and said, I'm still scared of him. And I'm thinking, come on, guys, are you freaking serious? So you're telling me she wasn't scared of me when I got out of YA and lived across the street, but now that she hasn't seen me in years, and I'm pulling up with some girl in my parents' driveway, she's still. I mean, come on, bro. I mean, like I said, this is just crap, bro. This is just crap. I mean, I'm just serving time for somebody else, bro. It is what it is. But anyway, let's move on.
So I have actually have two questions for you. I have one from the TikTok side, and then I have another one from the YouTube side. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you the one from YouTube first, and then I'll go ahead and ask the one from TikTok. So we got a question from ICEMAN,
All right.
and he's asking, I don't want to jump ahead, but why and when did Derrick go to the other side?
Okay. Just recently? What, to the side that I'm on right now?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. So absolutely. So why? When did? Okay, so I've been on the main line for 20 years. Well, no, I've only been in jail for 21, so it hasn't been long enough. Okay, I crossed over December of 2021. We're coming up on December 24th, so I've been on this side for a little over 2 years, right?
About 2.5 years.
21 to 22. Yeah, about 2.5 years. Yeah, there you go. Close to 3 years I've been over on this side. And I crossed over because I got in some stuff with the homies. And the homies said that, bro, you should just go to another prison and start over. And I'm like, dude, another prison? You guys just DP'd me for this stuff. You know what I mean? I'm on another yard. The homies just DP'd me for it. Why should I have to? Why don't I have to start over again? And they're like, well, because we took a vote on the yard, and I remember the Asians and the Usos and the Samoans, and they're like, so the Asians weren't feeling it, and the Usos we all voted for you, Bird, but you know they weren't feeling it, and they're like fucking getting, they're like he's got to go, and so they voted, and and it's a democracy, and so instead of getting on me again and just and for no reason.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
Got on the other yard for they're like, look, man, we all know you, bro. Just go to another prison, bro. And I said, all right, fine, dude. So I said, well, look, then I'll go. So they left the building. I told the officers, hey, the homies just come over here, and they just said I can't be here anymore. They don't want to jump on me again. They said don't mess the program up. I just got DP'd on the other yard last week. And the homies just, said that that the homies called over here and told them what happened, and they feel that I shouldn't even be in this prison. That and so they took a vote on the yard, and I got to go. So the cops were like, all right, well, pack your stuff. So I went to the hole, and from the hole, I'm sitting in the hole, and the counselor comes over, and he's like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, well, yeah, I got to go to the prison. What do you mean? What do I want to do? So anyway, the counselor setting me up to go to some other prison, and probably the nearest one in the next 2 weeks or so. And lo and behold, because I've been on two different yards. I had been on two different yards in this prison. I've been on the 4 yard and I've been on the 3 yard. My points had dropped, because of programming, and I got me write-ups, and I went to the 3 yard. And all of the stuff that got me into the hole happened on the 3 yard. So I'm in the hole, and the homies from the 3 yard, like 4 Usos and 3 Vietnamese and a couple Cambodians, they come to the hole, and all of them are right on the same row as me. They had just got in a riot in the building with the.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
We just got the 60-second notification.
Okay, well, they had just gotten a riot on the phone. So anyway, they were talking to me the whole time they were there, and they were telling me, dude, look, man, you've been here for forever, bro. Dude, it's time to try to get out of here, bro. There's nothing for you. You're not even a gang member, Derrick. I mean, you go home. And I'm like, well, what are you saying? They said, just PC up, bro. Forget this crap. I'm like, I don't want to live with and they're like, dude, you're not going to get some weirdo in your cell. And if you do, you beat his ass and tell him to get out. And I'm like, well, then shit, I could have done that over here. And anyway, they convinced me that, look, it was time to just drop out. I put my dues in. I'm over 50. They're like, the homies, there's nothing over here for you, Bird, anymore. It's time for you to go. And I said, all right, bro. And I took their advice. And I crossed over and from the hole in 2021. But the phone's about to hang up, so I will call you right back.
All right, cool. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So right now when we reconnect, Bet, I'll go ahead and ask him your question. You asked, can you ask him when what was the scariest thing he's ever seen in there, please? I got you right now. So when he calls back, I'll go ahead and ask him for that, and let's see what he says. Hey, thank you, Kike562 for sharing the live. Really appreciate it, and hey, thank you. Highly appreciate the support over there. All right, so right now we're just waiting, and I just saw the messages from Scorpio Rising. Welcome back. I'm Fernando. Hey, gracias for the thank you for the follow. Highly appreciate it also. All right. So let me see. Has he been to the Bay? I'll double check. If he's been to the Bay. I think that's what you're asking. All right, there it is. The phone is ringing.
This call is now being
Global
recorded.
Telling, usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Derrick Snowden.
un individuo encarcelado en de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, diga o oprima ahora el 5. Gracias por utilizar Global Tel Link.
Hello.
All right, bro. So
All
yes, so that's how I got over here.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thank you for answering that question. And the next question I wanna ask you is from the TikTok side, and Bet is asking, can you ask him what was the scariest thing he's seen in there? So they want to know what's the scariest thing.
The scariest thing I've seen in here, I think we talked about this a few podcasts ago. It was the 2000 and I want to say 6. Yeah, I believe it was the year 2006. In the county jail, because that's the scariest thing I've ever seen. It was when the Southsiders or the Southern Mexicans in California had coordinated their attacks on the blacks in every facility up and down the state, in every county jail at a certain time on a certain date for whatever reason. Like I said, I don't know the politics between them because I don't run with either one of them, and I'm not in a gang, so I don't know the in and outs of it, the logistics of the whole situation. But it was a coordinated attack, and for hours, guys, because there's definitely not enough police to save all. For hours, people were dying all around me. I could hear them. They were being killed in their cells, and fortunately, I was in a cell with an Asian, and 3 other Southsiders and one black, and they left him alone, which was. He just got blessed. They left it. They didn't do anything. I mean, I ran with the others, and I think they knew that. But they left him alone. Nothing happened to him, and that was probably the scariest thing ever because, I can't see these cells because the cells are like apartments. They're like you have a next door neighbor in your apartment. You can't see their door unless you step outside of yours, and then you can look down the hall and you can see their door. So I can't see what's going on, but you could hear it up and down the tier. People were dying. And this was happening in every cell all over the entire county jail and every county jail in Southern California. And I don't know how many prisons. I wasn't in prison yet, so I don't know, but I can speak for all of the county jails. Every one of them had erupted at the exact same time, and there was not a dang thing the cops could do about it. All they could do is gear up and then protect themselves and wait for it to die down and then clean up the carnage. And that was probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. Now I've been in a few different riots. I've seen people. I've seen the white boys stab their people up because the white people in prison, they have a no hands policy. They don't beat you up. They stab you. I mean, they're like, we don't have time for all this socking you up and no, you're getting stabbed up and that's it. You'll go
hey,
out
Derrick.
So
instead of saying that, let's say like poked up or because
sure. I keep forgetting. Let me try to. let me try to curtail my words a little better. So they have a no hands policy.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And I have seen them bleed out on basketball courts. By the time the nurses get there, the carotid artery has already been severed, and they're dead. And that's scary to see. You know what I mean? But once again, that's another race happening on the maybe a football field, maybe half a football field away from you, sometimes a football field away from you on the same yard, and you're looking at it, but you're like, they'll give you a heads up whatever race it is. They'll be like, look, now we're going to take care of our people here in a minute, right before the yard is over. So we're just giving you a heads up. So we'll all come together, just in case something happens, and we'll all be hanging out together, whatever group you're in, but at your specific little group area, and let that whatever transpires because it's not had anything to do with your race. I've been in race riots before, but like they were either too spontaneous enough for to weapons to be involved, or they were the kind of race riot where, let me give you for instance, the blacks and the Mexicans get into a riot, and they lock everybody down. Okay, well, everybody's been locked down for now 2 or 3 months, and instead of letting everybody up to see if it happens again, they'll do it in increments. They will let the over 40s out first. And so if you're over 40 and you're black or Mexican, they'll let those guys out. And then, if those guys don't do anything, then they'll go next. They'll let out the over 30s with the over 40s, and see, and keep doing that until they've got the whole yard out there. Now, I've been in riots where we were riding with the whites and others in the whites, and I came to the yard from another yard to that yard, and we were already locked down. And so I'm like, and I'd heard about it from my yard that it had happened on this yard, on the yard that I went to. This was in Kern Valley State Prison, which is in Kern Valley, California, which is next to Bakersfield and that area over there. Central California is where that is located. Anyway, so I've gone from one yard to the next yard, and when I got to that yard was on lockdown because, like I said, the whites and the Asians had gotten into it, and I had been there for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and they let the over 40s up, and by this time I'm over 40. So I had came out, and when I came out, the whites came over to us. There was like maybe six over 40s and maybe 5 over 40 whites walked over to it. We walked, and they said, "Look, what's going on?" I'm like, "Okay, well, look, this whole thing was over the bars, the pull-up bars. So to alleviate any tensions, we'll take turns on it. You guys can use it for the first hour. We'll use it for the second hour, and then because I'm not running anything, I just got to this yard." So I'm not, I can't call any shots. So you guys go first, and we'll go after you. So anyway, that happened, and then at the end of that yard, the whites have a policy where, like, if you come out, you have to get off. And so, and I knew that, and they knew that. But once again, we're dealing with the over 40s, so I didn't know if they were going to honor it. But we ran our regular yard, and then 15 minutes before the yard was over, I walked one of the Native Americans, because he had run with us too, the Native Americans over to the bathroom so he could use the restroom outside. Obviously, we have toilets outside, and I didn't want to walk myself. And as I walked him over there, these 5 or 6 whites rushed the other 4 or 5 others that were at the tables, rushed them. And so, we ran across the yard, and I guess they had already coordinated their little efforts, because as we were running across the yard back to the tables, me and the guy that was taking the picture, he didn't even get to pee. We just got close to the pictures when he happened. So we went. They had sent 2 of their people out to meet us halfway. So I fought with those. We fought those guys, and that was another way. But like I said, you're asking me for the scariest things that I've seen in prison. The scariest things I've seen in prison happened in the county jail. They didn't happen in prison. Now, I've heard about some scary things that happened in the prisons that I've been in, but I didn't see them.
Okay, so we'll stay away stuff that you personally haven't seen, because normally when people repeat these things, or by the time it gets to you, it's changed so much that the information might come out inaccurate. All right.
Absolutely. Right.
So I have another question from J Balls, and he wants to know: have you ever been to the Bay? And let me throw another one in there too. Melly wants to know, what nationality are you?
Okay, I'm Hindi and black, so that's like India and black. So that's how I run it.
Okay, Okay, yeah, that was the next question I was gonna ask you.
Okay.
Like, yeah, how did you end up in the other car? But yeah, okay.
Hindi. Okay, Hindi and black. Now, what was I going to say? So, you're asking another question, or that was it?
The other question was,
That was
have
the.
you ever been to Pelican Bay?
Oh yeah. No, I've never been to the Bay. I've been transported from different prisons and had a stop at the Bay to either pick someone up or drop someone off. I can't remember which one it was, but no, I haven't been to the Bay. I have not. I wish I'd been to the Bay. They say that's the place to be, but I've never been there.
All right, then. So I think that's all the questions. So I want to go ahead and get back on topic to where we're at. So so I think you left off at you got once you got sentenced, you got shipped to prison pretty quickly, right? Within 60 days of the time you got found guilty and got sentenced to prison.
Right. Within 60 days, I was already in prison. Exactly.
And how was that experience once
after
once you got to reception?
Once I got to reception, okay, let me see here. It's funny you should say that because when I got to reception, guys, reception is, I went to Wasco, and Wasco's not too far from LA County. Now, I don't know if they get the same news over there, but remember I told you my case was kind of big. I mean, it's not huge or anything, but for my area of town, now I don't live in like a small little town like Yuma where a cat being drawn in a tree is big news. I live in a relatively decent neighborhood in Los Angeles County, and so my case, as I think James, you may have mentioned, was in newspapers all up and down the state, from San Diego to Frisco. So what ended up happening when I got there, the officer, we all got off the bus, and the officer is telling people, okay, you're over there, you're over here, you're over there. And he told me, he said, no, you're over there. And I said, what am I over there for? He's like, you're not S and Y? I'm like, no, I'm not S and Y. He's like, well, you're not in here for some weird case. I said, absolutely not. And he said, well, let me look. And so he pulls on my phone and said, oh, I'm sorry, 187. I misread it. No, you're over there with the regular guys. And anyway, and so that was like, and I was thinking to myself, is this dude, what is this? What is he trying to? Is this dude trying to set me up or something? But anyway, that was, me just being naive and coming new to the prison system. But that's what it was like for me, guys. I got to Wasco, which was where I did my reception, and like I said, I run with the others, so I moved in with a Native American who was also in reception, and it was what it was. And remember, guys, like I said, I've gone to jail before. I've done juvenile time, so I've even been to the California Youth Authority, which is what they call the juvenile penitentiary system. So it's not. I mean, I didn't come in here completely blindsided. Like, what is this going to be? I may not have been in jail since I was a child, like 16, 17 or whatever, or 16, 17, 18 or whatever, when I'd gone to prison, a juvenile prison. But so I wasn't. And remember, I'd also done 2.5 years in the county jail. So none of it was truly new to me. It was just a matter of finding my niche and who was I going to be, and I knew I was running with the others, but what was that going to be like? You know what I mean? Because I'd never been to prison, so I didn't know the story. So there wasn't any stories that anybody had shared with me. All the people that I was spending time with in the county jail with myself were usually Mexican Serenos or Southsiders, as they call themselves. They would come in and out of my cell, from various Southside gangs, and the only other person that was like a regular in my cell was another Asian, this guy named Bobby, and Bobby beat his case. He had the Cochran law firm, and he beat his case because he was facing a lot of time, and he went home, but he went home like maybe a month or two before I even went to trial. But he was in there for like a year with me out of the 2.5 years I was in there in the county jail. So, and he told me stories because he had been to prison. And he told me stories about it was like, but there wasn't anything scary that he shared with me. Like I said, the scariest thing, guys, was that coordinated war that happened.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And wondering at any moment, are these 4 large Mexicans going to kill this black guy in my cell? I mean, he got blessed, guys. I'm telling you guys, these weren't some little guys. These guys were. I mean, I don't. You guys probably don't know the gangs out here, but these boys were from Rancho, like San Pedro area. They look like dock workers, and I'm like, they're gonna kill this kid. You know what I mean? But they didn't. You know, and I'm like, all right, well, you survived. You know, I was very happy for him, but there was nothing I could do. Well, if it happened, it happened. Like I said, I don't run the black side, and so it would have been sad. You know what I mean? Me and Bobby would not have jumped in because we would have gotten killed. You know, I mean, well, it would have been a war. There was 3 of them, 1 of him, and me and Bobby. There was a 6-man cell. So you know, I mean, but it wasn't our war, guys. Like I said, this is politics in the streets that transferred over to the prison and didn't have anything to do with the Asians, the whites, or the others. So why am I getting into something that doesn't have anything to do with me? And then now I end up in prison. And say, for instance, Bobby and I lose our case, which I did lose mine, and we get to prison, and these guys who I've seen one of them.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
And then he tells my people, your boy jumped us. And look, I'm telling you guys, the prison system, there may be a lot of us in it, but it's very small. And you are going to run into all of the people that you've seen in other prisons. And so that was one of the other reasons why I also crossed over too, because I had realized that once is it going to hang up on us, James?
Yeah, we got about 30 seconds.
Okay, I realized once I crossed over, guys, when I walked off of the yard and didn't get, DP to leave, that it was like you're piecing up. So I would have had to explain, well, why did you walk off the yard when I got to the next prison? And I'd be like, because the homies told me I couldn't be there. And they'd be like, and you just took that? And they'd be like, yeah, all right, well, you know what? Come out to the yard later. We need to talk to you. You understand? You guys can understand what I'm saying. So once I walked off the yard, I was pretty much PC from there, even though I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But fortunately, the homies.
All right, so these calls are only 15 minutes long. After the 15 minutes, they're automatically cut off. So you should be calling us back shortly. And for those of you that are on the TikTok side and interested in listening to any older interviews that I had with different individuals, if you go to, or if you look up at CollectCallFrom and you go under playlists, you'll find all the interviews that we've done in the past. We got a TikTok, we got a YouTube, and we also have Instagram. So if you're interested, radio, that man, talk about the old LA County days, the old LA County days, radio that. Anyhow, so he should be calling us back shortly. Once he calls back, then we'll go ahead and continue. I have some comments that I want to go ahead and read off from Scorpio Rising, and then I have a question or 2 questions from ICEMAN. So I'll be reading those off as soon as we reconnect, which shouldn't be much longer. Luckily now these calls are free. They're free 99. I don't have to pay for them. In the state of California, you good taxpayers are picking up the bill on those calls there. Anyhow, and there it is. The phone is ringing. Should I pick up the prison phone? I don't know. Maybe on the next call I will.
This call is now being recorded.
Global Telling. Usted tiene una llamada prepagada de
Derrick Snowden.
un individuo encarcelado de la prisión estatal de Centinela, California. Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. Para aceptar esta llamada, gracias por utilizar Global Telling.
Hello. All right. So, you know what? I have some comments that one of our listener wants me to read off to you, and then I also have 2 other questions from ICEMAN. So I'm gonna read off the comments to you right here. Let me see. So these comments are written by Scorpio Rising on the YouTube site, and she writes. Let me see. So earlier on when we were talking about your case, or you were speaking about the case, she writes, "Dang, what a messed up case. Unreal. I feel for you, dude. Stay strong and positive." And she also writes, you know how you were just speaking about like those incidents that you witnessed, and she writes, "How traumatic. Dang." And stay stuck. Let me see, what else did she write? Oh, stay stuck. So you know how we were trying to find different words to use instead of saying, like, using the actual word so we don't get flagged. She said that a good word to use would be stuck, and then instead of saying when you see red stuff, you could say leaking. And then let me see what else she wrote here. let me see. And then
those all work.
let me see here. And I think I cut them off. If I missed anything, just let me know, Scorpio Rice, and I'll go ahead and read them off. So the question I'm gonna read off to you is gonna be written by ICEMAN on the YouTube site also, and he writes. Let me see here. He writes, before the actual crime, he mentioned that he wasn't very close to his much younger sister. Did he ever think that she was capable of a double 187 and using her late father's police-issued GUN?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question. So here, let me tell you. Absolutely not. Listen, my sister, she may have been, I don't want to call it a difficult child. Like I said, we were spoiled. We, you know what I mean? For our child, we had a great childhood. We had everything you could imagine. We never wanted for anything. So and when I say she was spoiled, I mean like she was. I'm living in Las Vegas by now. She's, I think, I want to say maybe 13 or 14.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And just like when I was a kid, and I took my father's car and wrecked it. I mean, it was going to be mine, but it wasn't mine yet. It was bought for me, but I wasn't getting it until I turned 16, and I took it and wrecked it into somebody's house. She took my mom's Mercedes when she was like 13 and drove it to Burbank and was partying and whatnot. And then when she put it back in the garage, she forgot to move the seat back. So my mom was like, "Okay, that's some bullshit." So she got caught. But what I'm trying to say is that I never would have imagined in a million years. Listen, the entire time that they were trying to say that it was my father's weapon, I'm telling them that's impossible. Because I knew for an absolute certainty that it couldn't have been my mother or my sister, and it damn sure wasn't me. So unless somebody broke into my mom's house and put the thing back in there after they used it, which sounded highly improbable, that can't be the weapon. These cops are trying to set me up, and I want the thing retested and retested and retested again by independent testers, not by somebody from the state. Because that was my feeling about it. My feeling is that you can't have the mother, you can't have the weapon. Excuse me, it's impossible because there's no way. But I had my attorney, who, like I said, was a public defender, and she had it independently tested, probably by the same people that tested, the same people the DA used. I don't see why they'd use anybody different, but whatever. She had it tested again, and she was like, "No, it is the weapon." And I'm thinking, well, I don't understand. So I started going through my mind and thinking of the guys that I used to hang out with because, maybe one of them had broken into my mom's house because, like I said, earlier in an earlier podcast, I told you that there was a guy named Jason that testified that said he saw me on the day of the crimes, which was a lie. And I couldn't understand why he would say that other than the fact that I had seen him, previously because I had driven from Vegas to California for X amount of weekends for different concerts. And I had went over to his house one time with this girl, but it certainly wasn't the day of the murders. It was well before it or well after. I can't recall when it was because I wasn't keeping track of it. I didn't think I needed to mark the days that I saw Jason Finney because one day he was going to testify in court to saying that he saw me on the day of the crime in question. And so, but anyway, the point of the matter is that his girlfriend told me that, "Hey, your mom's house got broken into while you're in Vegas, well, didn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And she said, "Well, he did it. Him and his friends, they were trying to get their mom safe, and they dragged it across the foyer, tore the tile up, and it was too heavy, and they left it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, that sucks." Now, that's just hearsay. I mean, she I don't know how she knew that, but, being his baby mama, probably, or maybe she had something to do with whatever the case is, but she said that he did it. And so I thought, I started thinking about that, and I'm thinking about, okay, well, maybe he broke back in and took the gun, but why would he put it back? And all kinds of weird things popped in my head. Did you ask me, would I have thought that my sister would have done? Absolutely not. Not in a million years. Man, guys, when they told me, guys, when my attorney told me in the visiting room in the county jail after going to Vegas for the second time and speaking with my family members and talking to my cousins, and them telling her that my sister told them that she did it, and she came and told me, okay, well, your sister did it, and so that this is what happened. And I thought to myself, this is insane. I literally had to leave. I told her, look, I got to go. I can't. We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk later. I got up. I didn't even say goodbye. I walked right out of the visiting room and went right. back to my building and went to the shower. I mean, I didn't even ask the cops. I don't give a shit. I walked right back in the county jail on the 2000 floor, went right into cages and walked right to the showers and took my clothes off and just sat under the shower head for like 20 minutes by myself. Nobody else in there. I mean, I'm sure I could have got in trouble for that because you're supposed to shower with everybody at the same time, but I didn't give a shit. You know, these cops don't come out of the cages for nothing in the county jail other than to whoop your butt, and they weren't, and so they didn't. They let me alone. I came back. I put my clothes back on, walked back to my cell, and I was just distraught. I just knowing that not just knowing that she did it, but also knowing that she let me sit in here for over a year and a half for a crime that she committed. And not to mention, she committed that she could have easily said the truth of the matter, and there would have been a damn thing they could have done about it. You read any one of these papers up and down, all attorneys from La Jolla Law School and other different law schools up and down the state were writing in all of these newspapers that she beat it. She's the only person that's ever did it. It's a loophole. It needs to be closed. There's nothing they could do to her. This is all before he even got convicted, people. And for her to sit in there and let me sit there for a crime that she committed is just disgusting, absolutely disgusting, and I mean just disgusting. And so, no, I didn't think I would have never thought she would do it. But once I found out she did it, I realized that it all made sense. I mean, yeah.
So you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't think I've ever asked you this before, but since your dad was a police officer, did he ever train you guys or show you how to utilize a GUN, clean it out, or things of that nature?
And you did ask me, and we will revisit that. Yes, when I was a kid, I think I was probably 15, maybe 15 or 14 or 15. I was either just starting high school or my last year in junior high. I can't recall. I don't remember the age I was. Maybe even 13. And my dad took me out to the mountains, and we for target practice. Well, I mean, I'm just calling it target practice. It was the only time I've ever done it with him. It was the only time he'd ever taken me out there. But yeah, we went out there, and he took a couple of his weapons out there, and we set up cans. And I don't know why. He never told me why he was teaching me how to shoot a weapon, but he did. And so yeah, but no, he never taught me how to clean it. You know what I mean? I mean, he was the sheriff. I was the surfer. What did I care about guns for? They didn't have anything to do with my life. No. So, but yeah, he did. Now with my sister, I had no idea. He died. My father passed away when my sister was still, I think she was 10. So the likelihood that he taught her anything like that is highly unlikely. So no, I don't think he taught her how to do it. But. And there was no YouTube then, guys, where you could just go on YouTube and be like, "How do you clean a weapon?" Yeah. So that she didn't. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and there's just so many factors, guys. It just baffled me that I still don't understand to this day. When they found out it was the weapon, she had 12 years to clean it. Did she clean it? Or was it still dirty when they found it? I'm sure she had obviously wiped her fingerprints completely off because there weren't any prints on it. They said, but how does she know how to clean it? I just don't know, guys. But you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. You would have to tell me, guys. If you fire a weapon and don't touch it for 12 years, is it still dirty? I mean, I don't know how that works, guys. I don't know.
Man, so do you remember what the reason was that your mom held on to that weapon?
Well, here's the thing, guys. I had I told you in a previous podcast that my mom had a bunch of my dad's. I don't know, service revolvers, regular weapons. He had like maybe they were all handguns. He had like maybe 5 or 6 different handguns. Because he was a cop. And Chrome 45. Like all kinds of different types of weapons. But the point of the matter is that. She probably never got rid of them because A, she didn't know what to do with them, and B, she wasn't going to give them to me, and C, I mean, maybe one of them. I don't know. Here's the thing, I don't know if he ever taught her how to shoot a weapon. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, They were married, forever. So maybe she knew how to use a gun or a weapon, whatever you want to call it. So it's a possibility that she didn't get rid of him was because, like, well, I'm a single woman now.
Mm-hmm.
My son lives in Las Vegas. My daughter is 14. I live in this gigantic house with just me and her. You know, and maybe she knows how to use it. Maybe she doesn't. But, you know, it can't be rocket science. You know, it's not the kind where you have the safety. These are revolvers. You just pull the trigger. If it's got bullets in it, right? So, you know, so maybe she thought, I'm going to keep this for myself. Or maybe it was a piece of her husband that she hung on to. She got rid of everything else. I mean, she sold the boat. She sold his Porsche. You know what I mean? She gave his truck away to her brother. She tried to give it to me. I'm like, I don't want Dad's truck. No, I want a new car, so I got to Trans Am. But anyway, she gave the truck away to her brother. She gave all the clothes away to any of her brothers that fit him. You know, so maybe that was one of the last. You know, I don't want to call it a memory. I really don't. You'd have to ask her. I don't know why she hung on to the weapons, but she had that gun. Now, I had mentioned in a previous podcast that when I was a kid, I found it. I don't know. I was in my mom's room, I think, watching TV or something. I was doing something, and under the TV stand, because she had like a tablecloth or table covering over the TV, over the little the table stand, and underneath, if you lift the tablecloth up, there was a suitcase in there, Samsonite. You pull the Samsonite out, and I opened it up, and I found them all. I was like, whoa, damn. And you know what I mean? And I said, well, no, I'm taking this one, I'm taking this one, I'm taking this one. And now I remember, I was living in Las Vegas when it happened. And so I took those guns back to Las Vegas with me. I sold a couple of them right here in California for some weed. And the guy that I sold them to came and testified at my trial. He's like, yeah, Derrick and his friend, one of his friends that came over my house. And yeah, I bought two of them for weed because he got caught. Apparently he was, he's a weed dealer. So he had got raided and they found the weapons. And so, and he didn't take the serial numbers off of them, and I didn't know I'd do anything like that. Not that I would have. I just wanted some weed. So, so two of them went to him, and then I sold the other ones in Las Vegas. But the point is that yeah. So so the weapons and my mom, why she wouldn't have gotten rid of them, I couldn't say. But what I am saying is that the one weapon that I left, or I think I left two. I think I left a little one and that gigantic Clint Eastwood looking long Yosemite Sam looking barrel gun. I'm like, nobody wants this thing. This is like a toy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, turned out to be the weapon that my sister put into the holster, dressed herself up like in my dad's sheriff's uniform, because I'm 6'3", guys. My dad was like 5'11". My mom is 6 feet. She's taller than my dad. I couldn't fit any of his clothes. So my sister is his size. She dressed in his uniform, holster and all, shouldered the weapon in the holster, and went across the street thinking that if anybody sees me, the Rodney King riots are going on, they'll just think I'm an officer patrolling the neighborhood.
Le queda un restante de 60 segundos.
That is some 13-year-old logic, people. I mean, and then to use the weapon and then put it back where you got it.
Esta llamada y su número de teléfono será controlada y grabada.
And we just got hit with we just got hit with
seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we're gonna have to continue this later because it's 5 o'clock and it's dinner time around here, and I got stuff to do. So
okay.
So maybe we can pick it up next week. All right. But it was great talking to you once again, James, bro, and I really appreciate the platform. Thank you guys for your comments. Share the podcast with other people. You never know, guys. Maybe one day somebody will hear it and they'll be like, well, look, let me, and they're an attorney or whatever, and they'll look into it. I appreciate the Catherine Zeller hookup. I'm looking into her as well. Someone told me about an attorney named Catherine Zeller who specializes in my kind of cases, but it's going to hang up on us, guys. And I just want to thank you for your guys' time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Tune in next time, and we'll
All right, so the 15 minutes were up. You heard him. He has to get to dinner. They're about to serve them food. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in on the YouTube side, on the TikTok side. Shout out to ICEMAN. Shout out to Scorpio Rising. Let me see. Shout out to JCool2289. KC underscore fan Uno. Vanessa Marie. Thank you for the comments over there, and let me go ahead and double check the comments over here on TikTok. Thank you, Sin, for the comments, and let me see who else did we have here. Sarah, J Balls. Oh man, let me see. Meli, gracias. Kike562, Ram. Oh, Ram, I didn't see that. Hi, but hey, if you're still in here, hi. My apologies. I missed I missed that comment there. Bet. Let me see. What else? I'm going through the comments. Cali hyphen 213. Lovely. Let me see who else. Who else? Casey underscore fan, man. She was on both. Hey, appreciate the support on both platforms. Oh yeah, Sanho 408. And I think that's I think I caught everybody. And anybody that joined and subscribed. And Robert. Anyhow, like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And hold on, I got another comment from KC. Oh no, that was earlier on. Anyways, yeah. So like I say around here, life's like a candle. Once you blow it out, it's lights out. And with that, we're out. A rato.